May 8th, 2014. From El Cajon, California, this is episode 47 of You Can Bet on That. Hi, everybody. Welcome to You Can Bet on That, the podcast for the recreational gambler. My name's Mark Duvall. Sitting next to me is Dr. Mike.
Hello.
So, in the news, and this has made the mainstream news this week, I'm sure most of our listeners have heard about it, Ben Affleck, famous actor Ben Affleck, was backed off from playing blackjack at the Hard Rock Casino. Some of the early reports said that he was actually banned from the casino.
Right. I heard that initially, and then I read something that he wasn't banned.
Right. No,
he was just asked not to play.
Right. So he can play any other game in the casino he likes. He just can't play blackjack because they suspected he was counting, and he probably was.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think he is a very good poker player, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So he's probably used to cards. I'm sure he's a counter.
Yeah. So he probably was counting, and they backed him off. So this is kind of, making headlines. And it's just one of those cases where I think it's pretty stupid on the Hard Rock's part,
right?
To do that. I've always maintained that, it's pretty stupid to ban any player from playing blackjack, even if they are counting, because.
Well, how much are they going to make?
Yeah, right. How much can they take you for? I mean, there are times when, teams could take you for quite a bit of money, but God, it just seems to me that, if you take some countermeasures as the casino, shuffle up, more often or do whatever, and you're still going to have plenty of people in there that are playing poorly, that are going to lose.
Right.
People who think they're good at counting.
Who aren't,
right?
Well, in his case with Ben Affleck, instead of just saying anything, why not just tell the dealer at his table, shuffle up more?
Yeah. Don't deal as far into the shoe or, Oh, well, whatever. And the thing I love about this though now is that Derek Stevens, who owns the D and the Golden Gate downtown, he's come out and said, Ben, anytime you like, come to our casino and play. Feel free to count.
Good for him.
Yeah. I know, right? Yeah. He's like the modern day Benny Binion. It's like, we'll take all comers, right? Come gamble with us.
He knows he still has an edge.
Ultimately he does. How much is Ben Affleck going to take him for as opposed to everybody else?
Well, and how many people is Ben Affleck going to bring in?
Right. Yeah. See, that's the other thing.
Because if you're at a place and say, "Oh, Ben Affleck's over there gambling," people are going to go there just to watch Ben Affleck.
Great free publicity again for the D and the Golden Gate. He's done it before with accepting bitcoins. I don't know if you remember, but I think it was the Manny Pacquiao fight where there was the bad decision, right? And he refunded everybody's money, right?
Right, exactly.
So, it's great PR. He's doing this is great. And it's all 3-2 blackjack at the D and Golden Gate. There's no 6-5 blackjack, right? So
we ought to send him off a letter. We ought to seriously send him an email or a letter just addressed to him and say, kudos to you.
Maybe I will, because, he's chummy with the 500 podcast and the Vegas Gang podcast, because Vimp was there last year. So he knows all those guys. And, And so he's very friend. I mean, he's like the common man. You can approach him, right? He's not like
you could
up
send
in some
him an
office.
email probably.
Yeah.
You'd probably get further with him than you did with the guy at Harrah's, Southern California, when you send him an email. Right?
Well, no, I sent him a real letter. Remember, which was a little prehistoric for me to do. But maybe I will. All right, I'll see if I can get contact.
Well, I got one thing to say about Ben Affleck.
All right.
First of all, he was in my favorite movie of all time, Armageddon.
That's your favorite movie?
That's my favorite movie of all time.
All right.
At least that's what my wife says. I mean, because I watch it every time it's on.
Oh, all right. Okay.
And I don't know that but it's in my top 10.
All right.
I for whatever reason, I know it's not the greatest movie, but I do like it.
No judgment here.
And, Ben Affleck wasn't my favorite part about that movie, but he is in it. And he's a starring role. So, so I did like that.
All right.
And good for him to sit at a table in a casino and play. Now, I heard he was in the high limit room.
Yes, right.
And we should mention that anybody out there can go to the high limit room.
That's right. Yeah. You're welcome to go in and watch in the high limit room.
Yeah, you can walk and stand right behind Ben Affleck and watch him play, and they cannot tell you to leave.
That's right. In Vegas, in Las Vegas. Right. And there was kind of we didn't mention on the show, but there was a case recently where I think it was MGM Grand Casinos, MGM resorts were sued because they kicked a couple of basically observers out of the high limit room, and the observers just turned out to work for the gaming control board, right? So they got sued because all gambling, that's the rule in Las Vegas, has to be public.
Public, right.
Right. So
now, a lot of these like exclusive rooms that are like not on the main gambling floor that are maybe like 2 stories up or something.
Yeah.
You can walk in those too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you knew they were there,
right.
That's the thing. They don't publicize where it is.
Right.
They can legally do that.
Right.
But if you walked up and you said, hey, I'm on the 2nd floor and I think that room down there, there's, some high stakes, blackjack, you could walk right in there and sit down and they can't say a word to you.
Yeah, right. Now, you probably couldn't get super close to, a celebrity or whatever, or sit at a table and not play, that kind of thing. Right. But, go to the bar, get a drink, stand, fairly close.
I'm sure as long as you're a few feet away. Yeah. I don't think you could actually, chum up next to him.
No.
They'd be worried for his safety.
Now, I hope Ben Affleck... There are some rumors that maybe his gambling is interfering with his marriage.
Oh no,
it's just rumorish.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of liked he's married to Jennifer Garner.
Right.
I've always thought that's a good couple. It's like I'm rooting for them. I hope they survive.
Well, I'm doing my best. I watch Armageddon every time it's on any channel on TV.
Good. So he's getting royalties from that.
Residuals from that. Yeah. So, and Ben, take that money and play craps.
Yeah, well, yeah, there you go. Yes.
Your wife can't complain about that. What woman would?
No, but no woman would. Your wife, my wife.
No, they'd have no problem.
You're going to the casino again? Yeah, we're going to be playing craps, honey. Oh, okay, have fun. Yeah, that's all.
That's how it goes every week.
That's our story.
He said it, Lynn.
On the last episode, we were talking about. We asked listeners to send in some of the different ways that they play the games, the casino games, and we didn't want people to send us sure bet winning systems because those don't really exist.
Yeah,
especially
and we don't want to give away our secrets.
That's right. But we wanted to see how people play because that's interesting to me. Just I like playing this way.
That's my favorite thing.
Yeah.
Really.
So we got an email from listener Todd. And he had he listed several different ways that he plays
craps
and plays craps. Yes. So let me read a couple of these to you. He says, for the guy who likes place bets, I like to put out a larger bet first, then reduce it after it hits to lock in some profit. And that's typically not what people do, right?
No, it's typically the other way.
They raise their bet. They leave it the same or they raise it. He goes on to say, or even come down completely. That's almost like making a come bet, right? Come bet comes up, comes down. He says, I play this way probably 75% of the time, and it seems to work well for me. And you seem to get a higher rating because you're putting out large bets to start with.
Right. And we see that out at Harrah's quite a bit. There's a couple of guys I can think right off the top of my head who make large place bets right away and then either pull them down or reduce them.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad way to play.
No.
Because most of the rolls, let's face it, aren't going to be that long.
Right.
So if you hit a couple of numbers, if you had a $120 6 and a $120 8, and you hit it and you put it down to say 60, you're locking in. Let's see, what would you take back?
Well, you
take your 120 back, and you'd get 100 and you'd leave out 60.
Right.
So
you get 60 back. Plus the 140 that it paid, so that's 200
of your 240 that you initially put in.
Yeah,
right. So you hit one of those numbers, and you've almost got your money back. And if you hit a second one, you're in.
Yeah, right. Now we went through that fast, so our math probably isn't right, but you get the point, right? Is that you're most rolls are not going to be monster rolls; they're going to be shorter ones. So you're maybe winning or not losing as much,
right? And I suppose if it is a monster roll, if you leave some out there, you can go the other way and start creeping back up.
Sure, right.
Once you've hit it a few times.
That's the thing is you won't win as much on a monster roll as somebody who's being aggressive. But, good for you, right? You may last longer. So, I like this way of playing. So, Todd had another suggestion. If you do like pressing winning bets, that is increasing winning bets, try 44 inside to start with. 44 inside, that means 10 each on the 5 and 9 and 12 each on the 6 and 8 as place bets. If the 6 or 8 hits, pocket the money. But if the 5 or 9 hits, press the 6 and 8 $6 each and pocket the other 2. If you get a string of inside numbers rolled, more are likely going to be 6s and 8s, which have the lower house edge, and those bets can grow. The 5 and 9 are essentially feeder bets for pressing the 6 and 8.
Okay, now we see that a lot.
Yeah.
We see that a lot. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people who do that.
It's kind of a fun way to do it, right? It's go inside, and then a 5 hits. Okay, press the 6 and 8. Now a 6 hits, and you're going to get paid more than you would if you'd only press the 5, right? That kind of thing. Yeah, we do see that a lot. That's another fun way to play.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to play.
And then finally, he says, if you like to start with place bets, but want to take advantage of the come plus odds, just place your inside numbers and put the come bet out. If an inside number is rolled, just come down on the place bet and add odds to the come bet that just moved. You call that going down with odds.
Down with odds. And we do that a lot.
A lot of players do that.
Yeah, you've seen me do that a lot. There is one problem with that, at least for me anyway.
Yeah.
Is I'm basically leaving my money out there, I'm converting my place bet into a come bet because I take full odds.
Oh, so what you're saying is the come bet plus odds turns out to be significantly more than your initial place bet.
Right, exactly.
Well, see, that's your fault.
Yeah, I'd have to. I'd have to make bigger initial.
You need
place bets, and then I'm always terrified of the immediate 7 out.
Well, sure.
Right, so I go 80 in, and I put a quarter on the come. Well, when that quarter goes up to the 6, I'm taking 125 odds.
Yeah, no. See, you should just be putting, 80 in and then putting like $10 on the come, right?
Yeah. So, well, I don't do that.
No, well, see, that's your own fault. You can't complain about this way of playing if you're going to do it wrong. All right?
Right. It just is not as exciting for me.
No, that's what it all comes down to. Yeah. All right. Thanks for the email, Todd. Hey, let's go to the voicemail hotline. Don't forget, please call our voicemail hotline with questions or stories, anything you'd like to tell us about. The number is 951-292-4377. That's 9512-WAGERS.
9512-WAGERS.
And we've got a call from Travis.
All right, let's hear it.
Yeah, my name is Travis. I was listening to your podcast from, I believe it was January, talking about craps or something. You guys brought up the Oklahoma deal, and I was just there for a couple of weeks, there. And they do have craps and they do have roulette. I didn't play roulette, but I played some craps. They play it with cards. And I know it's different than, craps here in California where I live now. They have like a deck of cards with dice printed on them, and they have a cut card that they, hand to the shooter, and then the shooter takes the cut card and sticks it in the deck of cards. And then the stick man brings it back and then opens it up, and then that's what the roll is. And yeah, they take a commission. I was playing on like a $5 table, and every come out, and I forgot when they took it, but it was $1, all the time. Everybody was yelling at me, throwing $1, so I enjoy your guys' podcast. Thanks.
All right. So the plot thickens as far as Oklahoma casinos go here. So I didn't know that they used cards and not dice.
Right.
And I guess those cards are kind of similar to
36
cards with the different dice combinations on them. Right, right.
I would hope they're those big, real, oversized, goofy cards, right?
Probably not, though.
Well, you got to be able to see them all around the table.
Well, yeah, I guess so. So the shooter cuts the deck basically, and then it goes back to the stick, and you still, so it's card based. Yeah. You don't throw any dice, right. And you still have to make that commission bet, which is. Gosh, it's so strange because, the commission on table games, on card games, it's like, okay, 25 cents a hand or whatever. That's pretty clear cut. In craps, we kind of talked about this on the last episode too. Craps is a game where you don't have a decision every roll necessarily, right? With these contract bets and everything. Right. So Travis thought maybe it's every come out roll, so.
It couldn't be that often because if it was every roll.
Well, it wouldn't be every roll. Who would play? That'd be crazy, right?
You'd be out of your mind.
But if it's every come out roll, well, what if the guy's like rolling 5, 6, 7s in a row, right?
Is that on the come out, right? Yeah, is that what they call a new come out?
Even so, though. All right, everybody throw your dollars in. Gosh,
and if it's every come out roll, like on a fire bet, some guy has a great roll and hits like 5 numbers. You're still making money, but you have to pay commission every time?
Well, I doubt they have a fire bet.
Well, I mean, but right. A good roll where a guy made 5 points or something.
Yeah.
You think it'd be like every shooter, just,
but see, even so, then that from the casino standpoint, if they have to take this collection every shooter,
right.
You get a hot shooter for 45 minutes, they haven't collected any money, right? And they've got
right. Or what about the guy that walks in the middle of a roll?
That's a good point.
Does he have to throw in $1?
Probably,
He's already missed a bunch of the roll.
What a mess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, it's funny because now we do have a listener, Taylor, who recently wrote in saying that he kind of likes the Oklahoma casinos because you can kind of, it's kind of got a truck stop feel to it, and the limits are low, and you can just go in and play for a little while, $3 3-card poker, that kind of thing.
Right.
So I don't know though. I can't see us making a trip to
Oklahoma
specifically to go to the casinos there.
Yeah, the only way I'd probably go to Oklahoma is if I was driving to Missouri to visit family, and
you just stop. You happen to
stop in Oklahoma.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for the call, Travis. Hey, thanks to everyone who's been clicking through our Amazon link. We've been getting some good traffic there, and we really appreciate it because it helps us offset the price of putting on the show. Remember, whenever you're going to buy something through Amazon, go to our page first, youcanbetonThat.com, and click through our Amazon link at the top of the page. That way, when you make a purchase, we get a little kickback, and it doesn't cost you a thing. You'll pay the same price just like normal. And we got an email from listener Michael, who was talking about something that I'm surprised we haven't talked about on the show before. But I'm going to kind of paraphrase his email. Yeah. He was basically playing at Hammond, Indiana, at the Horseshoe there. And they have a fire bet. And again, fire bet, you at a craps table, you win the big jackpot, 1,000 for one, if the shooter establishes and makes each of the possible point numbers.
4, 5, 6, 8, 9, 10.
All 6 of them, and you get paid 1,000 for one. So he was in a situation where the shooter had made 5 of those numbers. Okay, so he was guaranteed a payoff of 125 to 250 to 1. 250.
I think he said he had bet $1.
Right.
So he would have get $250.
$250.
He was guaranteed
that.
And he would have had $1,000 had the person established and made that final 6th point.
Right. So the 6th point happened to be a 9. And sure enough, the shooter established a 9.
God.
So everybody's very excited.
Right.
I think, I'm thinking about it. I think that's only happened once to us.
Once.
It was at Bally's, right? It was a 5.
It was that lady with the 5.
Yeah.
And she rolled the first 5 numbers so fast. We didn't make all that much money on that roll. I mean, other than we hit the 5 fire bet.
Right.
But she made them just boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
And then she came out on 5, and we were all excited. And then a few rolls later, she 7 down.
Yeah. Well, anyway, Michael was at this table, and the shooter had rolled 5 numbers, and then the only number that they needed was a 9, and he established a 9. So Michael was saying, well, what do you think about this? Since you are, guaranteed to win this $1,000 if the 9 comes up, why not make a hedge bet by laying against the 9?
Right. That way, if the 9 doesn't come up and he 7s out, you win the hedge bet. You still get the 250 from the 5 fire bet, plus you win a little by laying against the 9.
Right. So he was thinking maybe lay like 300 against the 9, which would pay 200. Right. So then if the 9 doesn't come up, he gets 200 and he gets the 250 for the fire bet.
Yeah. So he's clearing 450 there.
Right. And if the 9 does come up, he loses the 300, but he gets the $1,000 for the fire bet.
So he's clearing 700.
Right. And this is I think you've actually seen this done, haven't you? When you witnessed that guy actually there. Yeah, it's not a bad way to do it.
Oh, and everyone should do it.
The thing is, generally we recommend that you don't make hedge bets. Right. But this is a situation maybe once in a lifetime for you where you have this opportunity to win a fire bet. It really does not come up that often. And the odds are steep. You're getting paid 1,000 for one. So these opportunities don't come up that often. It's not like you're making a hedge against a 2-to-1 wager or something like that.
No, this is one of those times in craps where you would be silly not to make this bet.
So, I don't know about that. Well, are you going so far to say that? Are you? That's officially you're saying that?
I think you should make it. Yeah.
All right. Okay. All right. I won't argue with you.
I mean, you could say, no, I'm confident he's going to make his 9 and just I want my 1,000.
No. But I just don't know if it's silly. See, I don't want to say that it's
maybe it's not silly. Maybe silly was the wrong word, but it's to your advantage to make this bet.
Well, it's all right. I'm not going to get involved in semantics here.
Okay.
I'll just the only thing I'll agree with you is it's nice because you're guaranteed to win no matter what happens.
It's kind of like when we bet on the Chargers, we bet against them and for them in the Super Bowl. And we were going to win either way.
Oh, that's right. Well, that was a different,
it was a different situation. But we made a bet on the Chargers and we made a bet against the Chargers, and either way we were going to make money.
Right. That's because the odds changed over the period before the Super Bowl. Right. So anyway, it's funny because we have talked about this many times, and until Michael wrote this email, is like, oh gosh, we haven't talked about it on the show. So I agree. I would make the bet too.
Yeah.
And, just because it's like, okay, guaranteed money.
I'll tell you why I would make it too. Here's another way to think about this. Yeah. You'd make it because you'd be thinking, if I lay against that, it'll probably come up, right? If I don't, it's going to be an immediate out right after he establishes it.
That's right. Well, it's funny because when we were on that 6 number at Bally's, that didn't occur to us. We hadn't bet the fire bet enough. And so, that could have been a huge...
It was early in the fire bet, when it was early after the fire bet had first come out.
Right, yeah.
And we hadn't really thought about it that much. It was just some goofy bet.
Yeah.
And then since then, we've never had the opportunity.
Yeah, it's never come up again.
And we may never get that opportunity.
That's right. We've hit 5 numbers again, but we've never gone up on that 6 number.
We've never been able to come out on a 6th.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you lately how many times we've hit 3 numbers, and then we have 3 numbers left that we can hit. And sometimes there's 6 and 8 or 2 of those 3 numbers. And we keep repeating a 9 or a 5.
I know. Let's not dwell on this again. We could talk about this every week if we wanted to.
I want that changed.
Hey, we got another email from listener Miguel. He said, "Hi guys, during your podcast, you've referenced running a game simulation, craps game simulation, for 5,000 hands or similar. I was wondering if this is a simulation tool that's available to the general public or if you need programming experience to set it up." So yes, the program that I use is called WinCraps, and the most recent edition is called WinCraps Pro.
W-I-N?
Yeah.
Craps, not
W-I-N.
Not W-Y-N-N.
No. Absolutely not. Win for Windows, basically. In fact, it only runs on Windows. They don't have a Mac version, but it's for Windows. And the nice thing about WinCraps is that you can write little programs that run simulations, or, here's a system I'm going to use. Here's how I'm going to bet. And you can have it, just run thousands of rolls. And is that easy?
For me, my computer savvy, would I be able to write that?
Certainly, somebody familiar with computer programming, if you've ever programmed in Java or C, C++, it's a breeze. If you're not familiar with programming, there are good examples. They do explain it. You can if you're a smart person, you'll figure it out. Yeah, exactly. And because it is kind of like writing a computer program, you may, end up writing what you think is correct. And then when you start running the simulation, it's like, it's not taking odds, or, I meant to press here and that's the point. You have to kind of work through it and find out,
Now, why don't they have it for Mac?
I don't know. The guy just hasn't, there's just way more PCs out there that they're running Windows. So
we have a Mac.
I know we have a Mac too, but I've got a laptop too that runs Windows. So, but otherwise, I think the program's excellent. And WinCraps Pro, you can actually have more than one player, 2 players playing, different strategies, that kind of thing. Yeah. And you can run it, for millions of rolls. And
how much did that cost?
Oh, it's like $15.
So for $15, if you're really interested in craps, you could get that and do all kinds of different strategies at home.
Yeah.
Just to see how it works.
Just to see what happens. Yeah. Just to see how quickly you lose your money.
Right.
there's no winning system.
You should mention too that no matter what you do, you can get any result. You can come up with something that 99 times out of 100 is going to lose, but you could run 1,000 simulations and that could be the one time it wins.
Oh yeah, that's true. Well, like I said, what did I say the last time? It was like I ran 3,000 hours and I was just betting pass line and come, and I was up after 3,000 hours, right? Well, that's just luck, right? So,
or maybe the house really doesn't have an edge.
Oh, maybe. All right. I'll have to rethink my whole worldview. So anyway, do a search on WinCraps and it'll take you to the webpage. But that's what we use. I'd recommend it. I think it's well written.
There's probably other ones out there.
Oh, I'm sure there are. Yeah. The nice thing about this is, the simulations run real quick. That you have this hyperdrive, they say, where it just, runs like crazy and it'll show you the results.
So how long did that take you to get 3,000?
Oh, that's a good, at full speed, and I had a fairly complicated betting system and I had 2 players playing, but 3,000 hours, I want to say it was, like 10 minutes.
Oh God, that's
something like that. Yeah. Yeah. So
you could do that in a commercial, in one of those commercials halfway through the hour show that's like 10 minutes long. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You could do that.
Yeah. You could. Yeah. Yeah. So, we got another email from listener Eddie, and let me read this to you. He says, "At our home game, the dealer," this is a poker home game, "the dealer places the cards down to his right to see if the player wants to cut the deck before the deal. Sometimes the player will cut the deck several times or take cards from the middle and basically reshuffle the deck. I have also seen players not cut, and then the dealer will cut the deck himself. I feel the deck should be only cut once, And if the player doesn't want to cut, then the dealer should just deal the cards. Is there any proper procedure or etiquette? I know we can just make a rule before play starts and say just cut the deck once or not at all, then deal the cards. But I just let them do what they want. But is there a right way? So, no, there's no right way.
No, and I've never read any etiquette rules that say, you even need a cut.
No, but let's say this. First of all, we're talking about a home game. At a casino, you don't need to worry about it because the dealer always cuts, right? Shuffles and cuts. So you never are the one who cuts the cards. But it is pretty standard in a home game that you would offer it to the player to your right. If you're dealing, I think that's pretty standard is who cuts it? It's the player to your right. If you're the dealer, right? And if we had to come up with okay, here's how it really should be done. Here's the true way to do it. I guess I'd have to say you offer to the person to your right. He has to cut the cards. He does, and then you deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Right, but everyone cuts them different. Now, we had a guy who played with us, Uncle Ike, and he would always do what do you call it, a whorehouse?
The whorehouse cut.
Whorehouse cut.
Yeah.
And it was basically what you described where he'd cut it like 3 times.
Yeah, 3 times. Now, he wouldn't be messing with like the deck, but he would cut it 3 times so that essentially like the top third of the deck and the bottom third of the deck were reversed. That's how it would ultimately do. Yeah.
Right. The middle would stay the same.
Right. So, I mean, we played in that, and I don't have a problem with that. The whorehouse cut, right?
Why he called it that?
I don't know where that came from. That's really the truth.
Well, he was in the military. Maybe that was something.
I know he used to play cards when he was in the Navy. Yeah, right. So maybe it came from that. Also, I have no problem with that. The 3 cuts, whatever, right?
Yeah, I never really cared when he did that.
And when we've ever played where the player to the right says, no, I don't want to cut, usually to indicate that they'll just tap the top of the deck. Yeah. No, it's just okay. I will say I think it's wrong for then the dealer to cut the deck in that case.
But you do see that a lot.
You do see that, but I think that's wrong. And again, what am I basing it on? Well, I don't know. The dealer's the one who shuffled the cards, so he shouldn't be cutting the deck.
Interesting point about that. So when our good friend Dave Hansen has a poker tournament, he usually has one person at the table shuffle.
Yeah.
Deal. He has one person deal. Right. It just makes it easier instead of passing the cards around.
Right.
But that person usually doesn't shuffle. Usually we'll have the person who was just on the button shuffle.
Right.
And then hand the cards to the dealer, who in turn will cut them and then deal them.
Right.
And that I like.
Well, and that's the way our home game is now, too.
Because it's a different person shuffling and a different person cutting.
That's actually the way our home game works now, too. These days, we play with 2 decks. So while one deck is being dealt for a game, somebody else is shuffling, not the person who's going to deal the next hand, but somebody else shuffles, then they can just give that deck to the dealer who then cuts. That's another good way to do it.
Yeah, and it's good that he cuts because, then if the person shuffling, now in our home game, nobody's going to cheat.
No. We've got a good group.
Yeah, they're all very trustworthy. But just in case, something was to happen, it's better that the dealer cuts them then instead of takes them and runs them.
Because he wasn't the one who shuffled.
Because he wasn't the one who shuffled them, right.
I have seen also where you offer the deck to the player to your right, and if he doesn't want to cut, then you offer to the next person. Right? I've seen that too. And I don't like that either, right?
No.
But, so, what we're coming up with here are just opinions. There is no right way, but I would say if you really wanted a right way, it would be the person to the right has to cut, and then you deal.
Right.
Right? I have no problem with the whorehouse cut. I have no problem with the player who just says, no, I don't want to cut, and then you just deal from there. The only real problem I have is when the player to the right says he doesn't want to cut, and then the dealer cuts. That to me just rubs me the wrong way.
Because if you shuffled them and you cut them, that's kind of...
Yeah, it's like, what is he up to, right?
Right, it's kind of strange. We did have an instance years ago of a guy that we worked with who played with us cards.
Yeah.
And one of the other players caught him cheating.
What was his name? I wasn't playing with you at that time.
His name was Steve...
Just Steve. We'll just say Steve.
It was Steve,
Right. I heard about this.
His last name started with a G.
Okay.
I'll tell you later.
Steve G.
Steve G.
So tell us, because I wasn't there, tell us what happened with the cheating.
Well, it was basically, and I didn't really see it, but one of our friends saw it. He told a couple of other guys that played regularly, and then they all 3 watched one week, and they were certain he was cheating.
Yeah.
We called him on it. He basically left and never came back.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he was at that point. But what he was doing is when he was picking up the cards. So if you're dealing a game like Guts or something where there's multiple deals, right?
Okay, right.
So he'd play a hand, and everyone, I had this or I had that, and people throw their cards in.
Yeah.
Well, he would look at some guy like, say he had an ace or whatever, and he would somehow get that card when he collected the cards on the bottom, and then when he would shuffle to always make sure that card stayed on the bottom.
Right.
And then I don't know, whatever way the cutting was or whatever, he was able to make sure he got, that ace or something like that. Right.
Yeah.
So, and they caught him doing it several times, and basically he would keep it on the bottom and then bottom deal himself.
Sure. Right.
So he'd deal around real quick, and instead of the top card, he'd shoot off the bottom card into his hand.
Yeah.
And, when one person saw that, I thought, well, maybe they're reading too much into that. But when 3 people saw it, it's like, okay.
I remember this guy because we used to work with him.
Right.
Even though I wasn't playing your game at that point. And it doesn't surprise me to hear this, right?
No,
based on what I knew of this guy?
No, yeah.
After the show, we should look him up and see what he's up to if we can find him.
Run a search on him.
All right, we'll try to do that. Anyway, Eddie, thanks for the email. That's kind of a long answer for cutting. But, ultimately, of course, the answer is it's a home game. It's whatever you want to do, whatever everybody wants to agree on.
Well, and
as long as you're consistent.
Our experience, people you play with.
Yeah, that's always a big thing.
Right.
Yeah.
And then if they're your buddies and, everything's good, then you don't have anything to worry about.
That's one thing that's kind of hard about getting a home game going initially is, how well do you know people, right? I know the group we're playing with now are...
Well, you work with them.
Yeah, I work with some of them.
Or they've been your friends forever.
Oh, yeah. And, there's no hanky-panky going on at all. And
none of us are that bright.
No. And you can tell there's nothing going on by how horribly sometimes we do, right? On any given night. We all have a horrible night.
One night you could win 250 and the next week you lose 300. I mean, it's like nobody's really cheating or they're really bad at cheating.
Yeah, right. Whoops. Yeah, it's the cards upside down. So, Vegas trip. We actually have some dates, right?
Right.
Okay.
It looks like June 6th, 7th, and 8th. June 6th is a Friday.
Right.
My wife and I will be arriving Friday evening sometime, staying there all day Saturday. Now, Sunday, we're probably going to leave early in the morning.
So it's basically it's only a Saturday trip. If anybody wanted to meet us out there.
Right.
I'm tentative at this point. You're going for sure.
I'm going for sure. And I don't know how late we're going to be there on Friday, how we hopefully would get there by 9 or 10.
Yeah.
For us is early because we'll go gamble until 2.
Right.
Then we'll get up and play all day Saturday. And then Sunday, I'm hoping that I can get a flight like at 10 coming back home.
Early-ish flight.
Early-ish,
okay.
Between 9 and 10 would be great.
Okay, so that's June 6th, 7th, and 8th, and specifically June 7th.
Right, and we're going to be at Caesar's Palace.
Good.
And it is the weekend. It's one of those... the great gift wrap giveaway that they have at the end of the year.
Okay, right. You get
this is a bonus weekend. Okay. So just for showing up, you get extra bonus points.
Yeah.
And then the more you play, you get more points. And that's our main reason for going, other than, we just haven't been in a while and we need to go.
Okay. So I'm not sure if I'm going yet. I think I haven't discussed it with my wife yet. I think what I'll do is I'll just play this episode.
Right.
Get to this point. And then, just say, oh, yeah, honey, I forgot to ask you, about this.
I'll plead for you if that'll help. But
now this is going to be in the middle of the World Series of Poker, and we're not going to be there long enough to actually play in a tournament. But I may get a room at the Rio. You guys are going to be at Caesars. I may get a room at Rio, and, just so I can kind of check out the World Series. I've never been to Rio during the World Series. I'd like to kind of see, the whole environment.
And if you do fly, my brother's going to drive. Because he lives in L.A. and it's a shorter drive.
All right, we don't need... Go ahead.
But he'll have a car, so, he could drive you around.
We'll work that stuff out. Yeah. We can talk about that off. I don't know that listeners are all that concerned about how we're going to get there and the kind of car we have.
We should probably take a cab. We might find a $1,000 chip on the floor.
That's right.
Chances are we won't find that in my brother's car.
Did we tell this story already on the podcast? Was it a relative use? I can't remember. Just real quick.
It was a friend of my mother-in-law who was in Vegas for no particular reason, not gamblers, got into a cab and there was a $1,000 Caesar's chip on the floor of the car.
Wow.
So they picked it up. They didn't even know if it was real.
Sure. Right.
So they went to Caesars. They weren't staying at Caesars, but they went to Caesars and checked it out and took it to the cage and got their $1,000 and left.
Well, it probably helped that it was Caesars. If it was some sawdust joint, you went up with a $1,000 chip. They probably, where'd you get this? Right. Where were you playing that you got this?
Right. I was playing in a cab.
That's right. Cash cab.
Yeah.
Hey, we wanted to send our best wishes to Tim Dressen, the host over there at the 5 Honey by Midnight podcast. Many listeners probably know that he just got out of surgery for cancer. They found cancer on his liver.
Kidney.
A kidney, yes. Excuse me. I say liver because he always jokes about how he and Michelle, always drink so much when they go to Vegas, and he's got liver on the brain as far. That's right.
There's a huge difference. Kidney.
Oh, anyway, he had successful surgery for this kidney. They did find cancer. There was a cancerous tumor on there, but they took the kidney out. Hopefully, they got everything. Yeah. He's recovering right now. So
my cousin had the exact same thing. She did great.
Yeah.
So I'm sure he'll do good too.
Yeah. So best wishes, Tim. We hope you get well real soon. And I think that's going to do it for this episode. Yeah. Be sure to download our app for your mobile device. You'll get access to all our episodes. Quick links to contact us via Twitter, Facebook, email, and our voicemail hotline. And you'll get bonus audio. On the bonus audio for this episode, we talk about our dads.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have talked about our moms because Mother's Day coming up. But
so we'll do that on Father's Day.
Okay, we'll
talk about our moms and gambling.
That sounds good.
Now, our moms gamble more than our dads.
That's absolutely true. Well, my mom gambles more than my dad.
And my mom, she can get out there and play a little bit.
More than your dad?
Not more than my dad.
No, of course
but more than most moms.
All right. Anyway, this bonus audio is about our dads. With our app, you'll also get TV listings showing all the gambling-related shows coming up within the next 2 weeks. I update those listings every Wednesday using a program I wrote myself. I wrote it myself, Mike.
Right. You didn't buy it from anybody?
No, wrote it myself. It searches through all the raw American TV data. The bonus audio and the TV listings are only available on our app. To download it, go to our webpage, youcanbetonthat.com, and on the left-hand side of the page, click on the link that says how to download our app. We have a link for Android devices and another one for iPhones and iPads. We'd love to hear from you. Call our voicemail hotline, 951-292-4377, or much easier to remember, 951-2-WAGERS. Or you can email us at youcanbetonThat@gmail.com. Also, follow us on Twitter at YouCanBetOnThat. We always tweet when we're in a casino or on our way to a casino, and we'd love to meet up with you. Don't forget, June 7th, we're going to be there, and we'll tweet all day to make sure that everybody knows where we are.
We'll be at the craps tables most of the day.
Yeah. But
my wife will probably get a haircut or something.
Right. But we might not be at Caesars the whole time.
No, we might have to move
around a little bit.
Yeah, we might have to move around a little.
Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/youcanbetonThat, and head on over to iTunes and write a review for us. When you do, it helps us get new listeners. All right. Phew, Dr. Mike, what do you got? Take us home.
Oh, God, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm still stunned that you write all this stuff yourself.
Well, that last part I wrote once, and I just say it I just read it every time.
Yeah, but the program thing, doing that.
Oh, writing the program.
Yeah.
My code.
I'm still trying to be able to sign my signature so someone can read it.
It's just all day long. I'm just thinking of, ways to write programs for gambling and television, my two favorite things.
And all day long I'm working on people thinking, I wished I was gambling or watching TV.
That's right. All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Good night.